Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. We haven't been able to get into the podcast studio for a little bit as we're getting all the boats all prepped and put away as the weather gets a little cooler here. So we thought, well, why don't we stop on the road and maybe just do one right here in the truck.
Also, it's like
Uh,
a super warm day, so we don't
yeah,
want to be stuck inside.
it's end of October and it's 28 degrees outside
What?
and we're putting the boats away. I was like, why?
That's so sad.
Why?
We should go take the boats out.
And anyway, we do want to talk about something that happened just recently. There was a group of divers out in the Brockville area. So if you're not familiar with diving in Ontario, one of the most popular spots amongst Tobermory anyway is Brockville. And there was an unfortunate circumstance that happened there. And of course, I got our dive expert and cave diver and extraordinaire.
Cave diver extraordinaire, I like it.
We got Mareesha with us here again today.
Hello.
So, Mish, why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened?
Right. So I wasn't there, but there was a news article about it, and a couple of the divers that were on board were actually ex-students of mine, and so they had called up to basically discuss how they were feeling because they were pretty shook up. Basically, it was just like a normal dive charter. Weather conditions were normal, nothing was weird, and they were going in on a dive. There was like a buddy team that got in the water before them. They went down, they followed a line, and then these two guys got in and they followed the line. They kind of saw that there was something happening on the bottom, like there's some kind of silt out, and so they just went over to check on the divers just to make sure that they were okay, and they saw that one of the divers was unconscious, and so they basically were able to keep their wits about them, and they brought the diver up to the surface where they performed first aid, and they eventually got the person to shore for a professional where the paramedics could pick them up. So it was an unfortunate incident, but it's still under investigation, so we don't know 100% what's happened. Everything's speculation.
We weren't there. We're just talking secondhand about it, but
Right.
from divers that we know that were there. So,
But it just, it kind of like, it makes you start thinking about, being prepared for an emergency, as a diver. Like, I know that we're doing this recreationally and it's supposed to be a fun sport, a fun activity that we do, but just like anywhere else, it's good to be prepared if something does go wrong. And, in the recreational, in recreational diving, there is a course available called the Rescue Diver course, which would give you the tools to be able to deal with certain situations that can occur underwater.
yeah, as you progress in your diving career and you've got your advanced and nitrox, whatever, we highly recommend you looking at the Rescue Diver course because you never know. Even experienced divers, this gentleman was an experienced diver,
Yeah.
a lot of dives under his belt, and this is a more experienced diving area with the drifts and everything. The cold water, it is starting to cool off here now, so having a rescue diver certification will definitely help you in your diving career because it covers any type of emergency marine first aid and your O2 provider, so you're able to administer oxygen in case of emergency, how to get them out of the water safely, deal with in-water emergencies and stuff. So it's a huge course that I think everybody would benefit from. So highly recommend taking that career path. But it's the last one that you get before becoming a professional diver, such as a dive master or an instructor. So highly recommend that course.
Because even if you don't want to go that route, even if you don't want to become, a dive master or an instructor, the thing is that, having rescue training under your belt means that, you feel more confident on your dives, that if a problem does occur, you're not trying to figure it out on the fly. You just like, your kind of training kicks in. And
Yeah.
then there's things like in the rescue diver course, there's things that, like a lot of people already have their CPR and first aid, which is great, right? In my opinion, everybody should have that. But then there are other things taken into consideration when you've got an accident that happens in the water. So, for example, being able to bring someone up from depth safely because you're being affected by pressure. You have to make sure that you are keeping the airway open so that you don't give them a lung overexpansion injury, for example. Like you
Yeah.
said, getting them out of the water. Like if you're a long way away from the boat or the shore, you have to be able to tow them into shore and still be able to provide, like assistance.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that, I like about the rescue course is that it isn't just techniques. Like you don't just learn techniques, but you start to learn how to think as a rescue, person. Like
Yeah.
you start noticing things. Like once you take the rescue course, it's one of those things where all of a sudden you're aware of the things around you. You learn in the buddy check, like check that everybody has their weights and what kind of weight system do they have. But when you take the rescue course, now you understand, like if I know what kind of weight system they have and I need to get their weights off of them quickly, that saves us some time. Like, do they have a belt? Do they have an integrated pocket?
If they're
So
diving side mount, they could be spine weights, and they're
right.
not easy to get at.
You're not dropping weights inside mount.
No.
But the thing is that you start thinking, in a different way, and your sphere of like perception, starts to expand. So you become a more like vigilant diver, and it just like aside from building your confidence level, it also just makes you like a better diver overall. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Now, any of you guys that live in Ontario or the northern climates, I highly recommend you, if you're going to take a rescue diver course, take it in your local area. Because if you take a rescue diver course down in Florida or Mexico, you're not dealing with the emergencies we have, unless that's the only place you're diving. But if you are diving up here in the north where we have cold water, black water, dry suits, all that kind of stuff, you should know how to deal with those type of emergencies up here, and be proficient in diving in those conditions. It's kind of useless to you if you've only ever dove in a little wetsuit and single tank and
No
never
gloves.
yeah.
No.
Yeah, you try dealing with stuff when you've got gloves on and you can't feel your fingers and stuff like that. So
And managing like a dry suit if you don't know.
yeah.
Like if you're diving in cold water and you don't get to practice like, disconnecting someone from their dry suit with your thick gloves or frozen hands, like it can be tricky. Like cold water, everything is tricky.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You were just in Brockville just before
Yeah.
this happened, and what were the water conditions like?
So it varies. It's weird because I went to Brockville at the start of the season, and then I went again to Brockville at the end of the season. And Brockville is pretty good in terms of water temperature. It tends to stay a little bit warmer longer, but Brockville has, like in certain places, very strong drift, right?
Yeah.
And aside from it having a very strong drift, some of the other things that you have to be mindful there is the visibility, can again drastically change. You're basically in a river and it's active. Like it's an active shipping channel. So you can't just pop up wherever you want, There's a lot when people dive Brockville, it's like you said, you need a higher level of certification to go there.
Yeah. So take that in mind. If you are thinking of going diving in Brockville, go with an experienced team, people that know the area, that have dove there before. Just don't venture out on your own if you've never been there before.
It's a ton of fun. But you have to train for it. You have to know what you're doing.
Yeah. Highly recommend. Yeah. If you're going to see the shipwrecks, go to see the shipwrecks on the American side. But
If
yeah,
you
the
want the
Canadian
drift,
ones suck.
yeah.
The American ones are way better. But remember to take your passport with you.
Oh,
You
yeah.
will need to have your passport, and be prepared to get over there early. So I was going to say the crossing guard,
The crossing guard.
the
The border. The
border guards
Yeah.
can, they check you because you are not allowed off the boat or able to dive on the American side before you go to customs. So you have to go to customs first, and then they allow you to.
Don't miss your window.
Yeah, there can be this big ships pull in there with like a couple hundred people on them and stuff. So be prepared, get there early, and have all your documents ready to go. So
It's super fun though.
yeah,
I wish we had more dives. Now we just got to wait till next season.
yeah. We just missed all them. We were there filming a movie actually, right in Brockville, and as soon as we finished that weekend, these guys were all up there.
I wish we were there at the same time. That would have
missed
been.
it, yeah.
Oh, it's so close.
Next time.
Next time, we'll go diving off your boats.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Anyway, this is going to be a quick little short video. Apologize with all the trucks in the background. We've been on the road, and we just stopped at the truck stop for a coffee. As you can see, this episode is sponsored by Tim Hortons.
I wish.
Not really. But looks like a Canadian tradition here. Look, it's even got the maple leaf on there. So, we just stopped off to get some coffee, and thought, hey, let's knock out a podcast while this is still fresh in our heads. So, hope you guys like it. Remember, we do have more content coming soon. We may have a little gap for a bit as we are switching facilities. We got a new facility. So we take possession in January, and we will be moving everything, the studios, everything over there. So we may be breaking down the studio soon, maybe in another month. So we'll try and squeeze in a bunch of podcasts before then. And then we'll get it all set up and bigger and better than ever for the next one. So hope you liked it. Remember, give us your comments if you've been diving at Brockville. I'd love to hear from you. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye, Mish.
Bye. Right then. Rumble, 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 rumble.